You are walking through a dark forest. The sun is almost gone. Behind you, your tribe waits near a weak fire. There is not enough food. The hunters came back with almost nothing. The children have stopped asking for more. The older people are quiet, because they know what hunger does to a group. So you walk farther from camp than you should. You are looking for tracks. You are looking for berries. You are looking for anything that can keep your people alive one more night. Then you hear something between the trees. Footsteps. You stop breathing for a second. An animal moves differently. This is slower, heavier, careful. Then it stops. Because you stopped. That is the worst part. Whatever is out there is listening too. A face appears in the shadows. It is human, but it is not from your tribe. It has the same eyes as you, the same fear, the same hunger, the same kind of spear. And now your brain has one question: friend or enemy? Why strangers were dangerous. Today, a stranger is usually just someone you have not met. But for ancient humans, a stranger could be the most dangerous thing in the forest. Animals were dangerous because they were strong. Weather was dangerous because it was cold. Hunger was dangerous because it was slow. But other humans were dangerous because they could think. They could hide. They could lie. They could follow your tracks back to camp. They could see your food, your tools, your children, and your fire. And they could remember. If they saw that your group was weak today, they might return tomorrow with more people. If they learned where you slept, where you kept food, or where your children played, the danger did not end when they walked away. It followed you home. An animal might attack because it is hungry. A human group might attack because they want what your group has. That made a stranger tribe terrifying. Not because they were monsters, because they were just like you. They also had families. They also had fear. They also wanted food before winter. That is what made the meeting so dangerous. Both sides could understand each other, and both sides could still choose violence. The first decision. The first meeting did not begin with talking. It began with distance. Both sides watched. How many are they? Do they have spears? Are they injured? Do they have food? Are there children with them? Are they alone, or is the rest of the group hiding? One wrong guess could kill everyone. If you saw 5 strangers, there might be 10 more behind the rocks. If one stranger looked injured, it might be real, or it might be a trap. If they carried food, maybe they were willing to trade, or maybe they had just stolen it from another camp. If you ran too early, they might chase. If you walked too close, they might throw a spear. If you looked weak, they might decide you were easy to steal from. If you looked too strong, they might attack first, before you attacked them. So the safest move was often to freeze. Watch. Listen. Wait for the first sign. The forest becomes silent. Your fingers tighten around the spear. Their fingers tighten too. No one knows who will move first. The body language test. Before language could solve the problem, bodies had to solve it first. A raised spear meant danger. Open hands could mean peace. A group standing wide apart looked ready to surround you. A group staying close looked scared. Eye contact mattered. Too much could look like a challenge. Too little could look like weakness. Even the direction of a foot mattered. Was the stranger turning away or preparing to move forward? Ancient humans did not need a written law to understand threat. Their bodies were already reading the room. The head, the hands, the shoulders, the distance, the speed of movement, the sound of breathing. All of it mattered. If a stranger smiled, that did not always mean safety. If a stranger shouted, that did not always mean attack. Maybe he was warning his own people not to move. Maybe he was calling hidden fighters closer. Every sign had more than one meaning. That is why first contact was not one moment. It was a test that lasted every second. Why fear came first? Fear was not a weakness. Fear was an alarm system. When your brain saw unknown humans, it did not begin with trust. It began with protection. Protect the children. Protect the fire. Protect the food. Protect the sick. A friendly mistake could be costly. If you trusted the wrong group, they could enter your camp and destroy everything. They could take stored meat. They could steal stone blades that took days to make. They could injure your best hunter. They could carry sickness. They could leave behind a memory so painful that your tribe would fear strangers for years. But fear also had a cost. If you attacked every stranger, you lost chances to trade. You lost chances to find mates. You lost news about water, animals, weather, and danger. You also made enemies. If you killed one stranger, his relatives might come later. Not because they were evil, because revenge can become protection. If a tribe lets one attack go unanswered, other groups may think they are weak. So fear could protect a tribe. But fear could also trap a tribe. Ancient humans lived inside a hard question. How close can we get without dying? What they wanted from each other. Not every meeting became a fight. Sometimes, two groups needed each other. One group had sharp stone. Another had animal skins. One knew where water was. Another knew where herds moved. One group had too many mouths and not enough food. Another had strong hunters but needed new bonds. One group knew how to shape a sharper point. Another knew which plants were safe to eat. One group had survived a cold valley. Another knew a better shelter. Knowledge was not written in books. It lived in people. So when groups met, information could move. A path to water. A warning about a dangerous cliff. A sign that a herd had moved east. A memory of a flood. A better way to make fire last through the night. To survive for generations, humans could not only fear outsiders. They also had to use them. That is what made the meeting so tense. The stranger could be a threat. But the stranger could also be the answer to a problem your tribe could not solve alone. Other people were the danger. Other people were also the advantage. The gift test. One of the safest ways to lower danger was to offer something small. Not your best spear. Not your last food. Something small enough to lose. A piece of meat. A shell. A tool. A sign. The gift was not just about kindness. It was a test. Will they take it and leave? Will they give something back? Will they move closer too fast? Will they laugh? Will they shout? Will they attack when your hand is open? The person offering the gift was taking a risk. For a moment, his hand was not ready to fight. For a moment, he had to trust the distance. And everyone behind him was watching. His own tribe was asking a silent question too. Are you making peace? Or are you putting us in danger? The first gift was a question. And every movement after it was an answer. If the stranger took the food and stepped back, that was a good sign. If the stranger gave something back, that was better. But if the stranger grabbed, rushed, or called others forward, the meaning changed instantly. Peace could turn into panic before anyone understood what had happened. When it went wrong, sometimes the answer was violence. Maybe one side was starving. Maybe someone had been killed before. Maybe a hunter saw strangers near a child. Maybe a leader wanted to look strong. Or maybe both sides were so afraid that one sudden movement became a spark. A spear lifts. Someone shouts. Another person runs. Then fear spreads faster than thought. In a few seconds, a meeting becomes a fight. And after that, memory changes everything. If your brother was killed by strangers, the next stranger you meet does not begin as a person. He begins as a warning. That is how old fear becomes new violence. And violence did not always need a full battle. Sometimes it was one wound, one stolen child, one broken promise, one dead hunter found near a stream. That was enough. After that, stories would travel around the fire. They came from the north. They smiled first. They waited until dark. They took our meat. They killed one of ours. Maybe the story was true. Maybe it changed each time it was told. But the feeling stayed the same. Do not trust them. When it went right. But sometimes the meeting did not end in blood. Sometimes both groups stepped back. Sometimes they traded. Sometimes they shared a fire from a distance. Sometimes young people from different groups became partners. Sometimes knowledge moved from one tribe to another. A better tool. A safer route. A warning about predators. A new way to hunt. Human survival was not built only on fighting. It was also built on reading strangers carefully enough to avoid fighting when possible. The groups that survived were not always the strongest. Often, they were the groups that knew when to threaten, when to wait, and when to trust. Trust did not mean being soft. It meant being careful in a different way. A tribe that could only fight would make enemies everywhere. A tribe that trusted too easily could be destroyed. But a tribe that could test strangers, trade from a distance, remember faces, and build slow bonds had more options. More options meant more chances to live. That is why ancient meetings mattered so much. They were not small social moments. They could change bloodlines. They could move tools across valleys. They could spread warnings. They could create alliances. And they could begin wars that lasted longer than anyone expected. The psychology that survived. This ancient fear did not disappear. We still notice strangers. We still look for signs. Is this person safe? Are they angry? Are they like us? Do they want something from us? Modern life changed the forest into cities, roads, screens, and crowds. But the old question stayed inside the human brain. Friend or enemy? For ancient humans, that question was not drama. It was survival. Because one stranger tribe could bring food, tools, and new life. Or they could bring the end of everything your tribe had protected. So imagine that forest again. The weak fire behind you. The hungry tribe waiting. The unknown faces ahead. No law. No police. No map. No guarantee that anyone outside your group will care if you live or die. Only signals. Only fear. Only the choice to step forward, step back, or raise the spear. That moment is ancient, but the question is still human. When someone unknown comes close, what do you see first? A threat? An opportunity? Or both?